It's not just how we look or how we act that determines how people see us. So what does determine what people think of us? Researchers might have some hunches based on some ongoing studies. And one of those researchers is Vivian Sayas, the director of the Personality, Attachment, and Control Laboratory at Cornell University. She's back for another edition of our Mentality Mondays miniseries, with some insights into how researchers study first impressions. But more than that, she has some surprising information about exactly how subjectively people really see each other. What she told us might surprise you.
You know, a lot of the work on first impressions tends to focus on some people are, for example, more attractive than other people. Or some people are just more liked than other people. Or some people are more trustworthy than other people. That's what's called a target effect, right? And the assumption is that if we are given 10 people and we're asked to evaluate those 10 people, the three of us are going to generally agree. That's the assumption. And there is some consistency in our evaluations, some, but it doesn't explain all of it, actually. And actually, if you can break down how much is due to the target versus there's another source of what influences whether we like someone or not, and that's what's called a perceiver effect. So some people might think that everybody's attractive or everybody's trustworthy, right? So that would be a perceiver effect. And then there's what's called the interaction between the person that you're viewing, the target, and yourself. We can call this like chemistry. I might like person A more than person B, and Ashley, you might like person B more than person A. And what we know from some of the work is that in terms of first impressions of like who do you like, what we're seeing is that about 20% of the judgment is based on, we tend to agree, that some people are more likable than other people. 40% is a person effect. Some people are just like everybody and some people don't. And then 40% is sort of idiosyncratic. We have preferences. And our preferences aren't all the same. And that accounts for 40% of the variability.
We'll say that one more time just so it sinks in. In terms of first impressions, about 20% of the time we tend to agree that some people are just more likable than other people. 40% is a person effect, as in some people just like everybody and others don't. And the final 40% is personal preference. That's a lot of percents.
And to me, that is really interesting and also important because I feel like we tend to simplify things again, right? And I think we tend to think that just some people are more attractive, some people are more likable, some people have it, and some people don't. And that there's a little bit of truth to that. There are people who are more attractive, and some people we tend to agree somewhat. But there's a lot of idiosyncrasy, a lot of preferences. And we see preferences in almost every aspect of our lives. We don't all want to live in the same cities. We don't all want to live in the same communities. We don't all want to live in the same type of house. We don't all want to wear the same types of clothes. We don't all go to the same type of restaurant. Even if we go to the same restaurant, we don't all eat the same type of food. There are preferences. And so why wouldn't we have these preferences when it comes to who we find attractive and who we want to hang out with and who do we want to be friends with? But it's a little bit complicated. It's harder to get a grasp of these interactions. And so we tend to focus on target effects. And I think there's some importance to target effects, but I think it doesn't present the whole picture. And to me, I find it really interesting that there is so much idiosyncrasy, so much that when we're meeting someone and we're making a decision, for example, do I want to be friends with this person? A person's not saying, does everybody necessarily want to be friends with her? I'm saying, do I want to be friends with this person? Am I attracted to this person? And there's a lot of personal preference in that. So that's one part of the first impressions work, one finding there that I'm really interested in.
So would you say then that probably everybody is attractive and likable to somebody?
I have not yet looked at that. What I might expect is that, yes, there's going to be maybe I am hesitant to say everybody, but the majority of people are going to be attracted to the majority of other people. I might also expect that some people will draw more people too. And so I do think that there is some complexity to these analyses that we haven't done yet.
Yeah.
Here's one takeaway from this research. Maybe don't worry so much about whether you're broadly likable to other people all the time, and instead just do your best to make a good first impression on the next person you meet. There's probably not a person out there who everyone likes, although to be fair, Patrick Stewart comes pretty darn close. Anyway, that was Vivian Sias, the director of the Personality, Attachment, and Control Laboratory at Cornell University.